It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host for the day, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in greater West Bloomfield. A lot of big stuff, a lot of great stuff to get into. Let's jump right into it. A recent exhibit was showcased at the J in West Bloomfield called The Moment Music Stood Still, the Nova Music Festival exhibition. This installation chronicled the Israeli music festival in Re'im that was attacked earlier last year on October 7th, killing over 400 civilians and with 40 more being taken hostage. I spoke with multiple people who both experienced the Nova exhibit and who helped make its stay at the J possible, to hear what their initial reactions were and what they've seen from the rest of the public.
Obviously, it's a very moving experience, and everyone's experiencing is slightly different. But I would say an overwhelming majority of people have just been touched very deep in their soul about seeing what is happening, what happened, how they can help.
I mean, I think it's really important for everyone to see and to know what happened and what went down those days and the days, since. But I think it's just important for everyone to be aware of what happened in Israel, at the Nova Festival.
I think that the community reaction to the exhibit has been incredible. I have seen people who have been very emotional. There have been people who have a hard time seeing the events that occurred on October 7th laid out in front of them. But I think that everyone feels that it's important to see and to bear witness to the atrocities that happened there.
A lot of really important things to take away from an exhibit like this, and the reaction from the public shows just how powerful it was. Jennifer Levine, the senior director of the Overseas Department with the J, went on to talk about how she has seen the popularity of this event grow and how it's affected people outside of the Jewish community.
It feels great. I mean, there's nothing like seeing the community members come together, Jewish, non-Jewish. We've had people from all over the community. We've had city officials, state officials, the FBI was here. Everyone is coming through and wants to see the exhibit. And people are spreading the word. Every day we're getting more and more visitors, and I think it's largely due to word of mouth and people that have come through the visit and are passing on to their friends saying, you need to go and see this. One thing that really struck me is that we have security here, and they're predominantly not Jewish, and they want to go and see the exhibit, and many of them said, I'm coming back with my spouse. I think it's really important for them to see it as well.
It's important that we have institutions like the J in West Bloomfield, that the public is able to be made aware and to be informed of events like this and to understand what's going on in the world. Jennifer Fishkind and Stephen Ingber told me about how great it is for the J to be doing its part and some other takeaways from this event that might be beneficial in the long run.
I mean, we're so lucky to have the J and Federation and all the donors who, help bring this exhibit here. We're very fortunate because so many communities don't have it, and it gives everyone an opportunity to, to understand and come together as a community to see what happens.
I mean, my number one takeaway is call out hate when you see it. Whether it's anti-Semitism, whether it's racism, whether it's xenophobia, whatever it is, call it out. It's not okay. We've seen now what happens when we leave this unchecked.
I mean, it's hard to walk through the exhibit and feel hope after what happened. It's a question on how can this happen? How can humanity let this happen? But I think we always have to stay hopeful, or where does that leave us?
Hope is one of the most important things we can have. I went through the exhibit. I was hit emotionally like a lot of other people were, and it's great that we have organizations like the J who are doing their part to keep the community informed. So big thank you to the J of West Bloomfield for letting me stop by and for taking a look through this exhibit firsthand. Two local communities came together over the weekend as the Orchard Lake St. Mary Eaglets take on their Division II semifinal game at West Bloomfield High School. Our own Kevin McIntosh shows us how this matchup is bringing the greater West Bloomfield area together.
At West Bloomfield High School football field known as the Swamp, we come to cheer on the Lakers. But recently, the Eaglets of Orchard Lake St. Mary's was there for their Division II semifinal game. I actually had a chance to talk to some of the community members of Orchard Lake to see how it feels to support their team in West Bloomfield.
Actually, it makes me feel great because we grew up in this area and we're from here, so it's even better that we're playing here today, and hopefully we get a win to go to Ford Field.
Oh, it feels great. You know, I'm cheering for all the boys in general. Of course, we want our boys to take the W, but it feels great to be even in this position to be in the Final Four. We're hoping to make it to Ford Field. That's our ultimate goal, but it feels good to be here.
It's always been a priority for local residents of Greater West Bloomfield to stick together. Some parents and students of Orchard Lake St. Mary's share how important it is to support the team.
It's important for the community to be here for the boys. You know, they're young kids doing what they love. Some are potentially chasing their dreams. So it's important for everybody, not even just family, but friends, just to come out here and show their support for kids doing something that's good for themselves.
Man, it's a beautiful feeling, man. It's a beautiful feeling, man. At our school, it's a brotherhood. Everybody supported everybody, from volleyball to skiing to soccer to lacrosse to basketball and everything in between. It's a brother and a sisterhood.
It's definitely a brotherhood. Like, we all support each other in every different sport. So, you know, just coming out for any sport, I'm just happy and excited to see them doing good this season.
With aspirations to play at Ford Field for the Division II championship, Eaglets fans express how the Lions' success may motivate the team and community.
It motivates them because not only do they get to see the people that they look up to on TV, but they're able to enact that in a high school form.
I really think that it really plays an important role because the Lions are doing so good finally after so many years that hopefully it's inspiring these boys and motivating them to get a win. As all local high schools look to finish their football season strong, our Greater West Bloomfield community shows the real strength is in hometown support. With Civic Center TV, I'm Kevin McIntosh.
It's great to see that sense of community between Orchard Lake and West Bloomfield extend beyond the field. We'll be cheering on the Eaglets as they make their playoff run, and stay tuned for more local stories right here on Civic Center TV. The West Bloomfield Middle School Robotics went to college over the weekend. Visited the UFM Robotics to see some more advanced machines and projects in action. They learned about Michigan Robotics' 3 core values: robotics with respect, enthusiastic outreach, and integrity in action. Parent, coaches, and students alike had hands-on opportunities to see the extensive facility, ask questions, and most importantly, have a lot of fun while they're at it. See all the pictures and learn more on Facebook at West Bloomfield Schools to see the photos firsthand and to take a look at all of the fun that these kids had visiting UFM. And we've got some other big things after the holiday this week. The holiday season kicks off right here in the heart of the lakes. Rose Sorter Park will be lit up with holiday cheer when it becomes the Kego Harbor Parks and Rec Winter Wonderland Park on Friday, December 6th at 6 p.m. That's when they'll turn on the lights and begin the final run to end the year. Plus, plenty of food like hot dogs and s'mores, hot chocolate, coffee, and an endless supply of friendly folks from Kego Harbor and beyond. Bring the spirit of giving with you as well, as non-perishable food items will be accepted by the gazebo for Open Door Outreach Center. Find more information and show your excitement for the beautiful Winter Wonderland Park on Facebook at KH Parks, where you can find out more information about the event and how you can do your part to help the community. The West Bloomfield Fire Department is doing their part to help firefighters through the Yellow Rose campaign, which is a powerful resource for firefighters by firefighters, helping them with crisis intervention and stress management. And here to tell us all more about this great program, we have the fire chief for the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Chief Greg Flynn. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning.
Really happy to have you with us and really interested in hearing about the Yellow Rose campaign. What can you tell us about it?
Well, the Yellow Rose campaign is just that, very specifically named as a campaign, meaning this long approach to a problem, issues that have been really plaguing, if you will, communities for decades. You know, the thought of self-harm or death by suicide is and has been the 10th leading cause of death, Jake, in the United States for a very long time. And bringing this awareness not only to the fire service as a profession, but in particular also sharing that with our community and outwardly discussing and removing the stigma associated with overall mental health issues and really promoting emotional wellness is what the Yellow Rose campaign is all about. It's about bringing attention to that, influencing attitudes, and encouraging leadership to make workplace environments that are conducive to reducing and eliminating the stigma associated with firefighters and employees seeking emotional help and guidance from mental health professionals.
That's absolutely right. It's always important to reach out for help if you are in need of some. So, Greg, how long has West Bloomfield Fire Department been working with the Yellow Rose campaign?
Well, our own experience of loss through death by suicide with Lieutenant Jeff Hiltner in 2016 was a motivating factor for our involvement with the program. Really, I should say the involvement with the program, the genesis of the program, the campaign. And, you know, that, like so many lived experiences that people have had, because it's the 10th leading cause of death, there's so many people in our community that have experienced this through the loss of a family member or a very close friend, member of the community. But the discussions that circle that are often very uncomfortable when the focus is on how someone dies. And what the Yellow Rose campaign is focused on is removing the how someone dies and, you know, normalizing the conversation about loss and that postvention, those that live on, and understanding how to prevent death by suicide and believing that it is a preventable form of death. And I know that's my belief. And it's something that we hope to continue to spread and share through the Yellow Rose campaign in hope and optimism.
And that's very, very empowering of the work that you guys are doing to help increase this awareness with the Yellow Rose campaign. And very sorry to hear about the personal loss with the fire department. And I do want to get into that a little bit because that is something, especially with working in an environment like fire, that can affect people's mental health. What are some of the leading causes that can affect firefighters' mental health, would you say?
Well, I think it's important to normalize the conversation that all jobs come with stress. And while we focus in the campaign about some of the nuance or the specifics of, you know, dealing with the rescue and EMS and fire side of things, that the trauma, the lived trauma that those providers experience can be cumulative. And when we don't process and, you know, address or deal with some of the issues that can come from rendering aid and maybe not having the outcome that the team desired, when we don't talk through and have professional help with that can start to build up, Jake. And that's when that cumulative stress can start to become very heavy on someone, and thoughts of poor health or just poor emotional wellness, which can lead to poor relationships and this kind of domino effect that may put someone on a trajectory where they start to contemplate death by suicide. And that's ultimately what the campaign is about. If the intervention takes place at a very appropriate time and we normalize wellness, emotional fitness, like we do with our own health or with our finances, and think of it as a three-legged stool of emotional wellness, financial wellness, and physical wellness, that's really what will set someone up for a successful career, no matter where they are. But specifically with the Yellow Rose campaign here related to firefighters, that's the fire EMS side that we're addressing there.
And that's great that you are. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have Fire Chief Greg Flynn with the West Bloomfield Fire Department joining us to talk about the Yellow Rose campaign and the work that they are doing to help fight back some of the stigmas surrounding mental health and to help help raise awareness for suicide prevention. Now, Chief Flynn, mental health care has become a lot more popular over the last few years. And would you say that there's an increase in these resources being used now that these discussions are starting to become a lot more normalized?
Well, there sure is a lot of attention on access to resources, and I think that is only hopefully a positive for our mental health professionals to gain the recognition that they should have had all along for the important role that they play. And Jake, I think it's important to realize that creating that relationship, just like you would with a physician early on in life with going in and getting your sports physicals and doing checkups along the way, we want to really encourage people to do the same thing with a mental health professional. Why is treating one's mind different than treating one's body or treating one's finances? Just like you would meet as you prepare for retirement, you'd be preparing for the decades before that with a financial advisor, let's say. And having those regular check-ins when you're well, that was a program that we started here called the Give 55 program in honor of Lieutenant Jeff Hiltner. And we say give 55. Would you give 55 minutes to a mental health professional? Would you have given 55 minutes to Jeff if it may have changed his trajectory? And the answer from our team was yes. And so now what we do is that 55 minutes or 1 hour appointment with a mental health professional, voluntary, once a year, no cost to the employee, to normalize the appointment, to normalize going in and talking to someone, and to visit a mental health professional when you're well. Your first visits as a baby with a doctor were well visits, right? That's how we started off. Why wouldn't we want to start the same way with our mental health professionals and have a really positive relationship? Because even like with a physician, Jake, it's not that you're going to connect with the first provider that you meet with. So meeting when you're well is way better, and having that relationship. So if crisis starts to creep in, you have a real friend on the other side as a mental health professional.
That is absolutely right. Those relationships are very important. I've been in therapy myself for about 8.5, 9 years, and that relationship I have is very, very crucial and has helped me to become the person I am. So I totally understand it from that perspective. And it sounds like we're already starting to see these effects very positively in the community, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I believe so, and and thank you for sharing that with you, because I think it's when we share that we, people that are out talking about it and the positive experiences that we've had with mental health professionals, I think that brings that confidence and credibility to those individuals that are working very hard. Too often, the spotlight is shined upon the bad experience or the poor experience that someone may had, and I think it's important to realize that as the person on the other side, the person seeking help, we're often resistant, thinking that we have everything under control, that we're doing just fine. Just like we may feel that we have our weight under control or our fitness under control, but then slowly as time goes on, farther and farther, the belt loops, the belt gets a little wider, or we get a little slower in our jogs. I think that we haven't really comprehended the emotional wellness and fitness that goes with life. And I think it's great that we're talking about it here. And I hope that people see, when the fire chief is saying that that's something that he takes advantage of or she takes advantage of, that goes down through the ranks and likewise out into the community. That's what your professional firefighters, your folks that are emergency responders are doing. You too can seek that assistance. And remember, it's not saying that you're broken or you're unwell necessarily. We want to encourage those regular visits so that you stay emotionally fit.
Absolutely. That is very important to stay emotionally fit. And where can people go to learn a little more info about the Yellow Rose campaign?
Well, right now, the campaign's website is hosted through the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs. So mychiefs.org, and you'll see a link from the main landing page for the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs. You'll see a link that'll take you to the Yellow Rose, where you can learn more about it. There's some informational videos that kind of summarize the campaign as well. And, that rose, Jake, just so you know, the symbolism of the Yellow Rose, the rose itself speaks to the confidentiality of the importance of these conversations that take place. The yellow in it speaks of optimism and trust. But the rose is also very symbolic in the sense that the thorns along the stem really speak to some of the trials that we go through in life and the difficulties. But yet, when you get to the rose, how beautiful of a flower it is, and really understanding the value that each one of us, each one of you listening, bring to the loved ones around you and the community that you contribute to. And even when it's hard, that there are those that are ready to fill the gap. And that's what the yellow rose is saying. If I wear my yellow rose lapel pin is on, or you see a sticker or something with a yellow rose, that's an invitation to someone to say, I'll listen and help fill the gap so you can get to a mental health professional. I'm committed. There's no stigma with me. And so that symbolism is very important so that people know, hey, you have a yellow rose coin. You took that pledge that said you're willing to listen and be non-judgmental and help me find someone that can really help me sort out where I am right now. And that's what the campaign's all about.
And that's amazing to hear. Chief Flynn, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation about the Yellow Rose campaign and for making all of this awareness for mental health. However, before I let you go, I do want to get your thoughts on a different topic that is occurring right here in West Bloomfield. As we know, in the recent days, it has been announced that West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Steve Kaplan is going to be stepping down from his role in the coming weeks and moving on to a new position with Wayne County. As somebody who's worked with Steve for a long time, I want to know what your thoughts are on this change of power.
Well, I'm very excited for Supervisor Kaplan in his pursuit of, again, he has a love for the law that in our conversations over the years, it seems like the law always is coming up. And hearing about cases that he took to trial and just really the pursuit of justice, that is where his heart was and will continue. I will say, though, that as a West Bloomfield resident, he was squarely focused on the residents of West Bloomfield. He's been a true partner to public safety, specifically the fire department, and his support of the men and women, the firefighter paramedics that are out there on the streets every day. We will miss him. However, I don't think we won't miss seeing him in the sense that he will be present in the community. It is in his nature. And I feel very confident that we'll hear about his dealings with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office and continue to see him involved in all West Bloomfield events because he truly does love this community, and we'll miss him.
Yes, we will all miss Steve around here, and we do thank him for all of the work that he does in this community, as we thank you, Greg, for all of the work that you do in this community. Fire Chief Greg Flynn, we thank you so much for your time with us today on The Splash.
You bet. Thank you.
Really happy to have had this conversation with Chief Flynn and to be learning all about these details with the Yellow Rose campaign. Hopefully they will continue their mission to continue to fight back again, to help suicide prevention and to help raise more awareness for mental health. As the Thanksgiving season continues to increase and to come up this week, we also still continue to talk about hunting season. Getting your hunting fix right here in West Bloomfield might be a bit of a challenge, but there are ways to do so, courtesy of Detroit Archers. And joining us right now on The Splash, we have the Secretary for Detroit Archers in West Bloomfield, Kevin Marshall. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. How are you today?
Really good, and really happy to have you with us to talk about this, because hunting, obviously, this is a very, very busy time of year for the sport. I know you just mentioned you just came back from a hunting trip when we spoke.
I did.
How does Detroit Archers help people that can't really travel right now but still want to have that hunting experience?
Well, it's a challenge in populated areas to find places where you can participate in the sport legally. Most of the communities have, if they permit hunting at all within the community, it's based on how large the piece of property is. I believe West Bloomfield, you have to have at least, I don't know, it's like 5 acres or something like that in order to be able to hunt within the township. And I think they have restrictions on probably archery only within the city or within the township, but we kind of worked, don't really have any active programs for that, but it's kind of everybody kind of helps each other around the club and lets people know where spots might be and where opportunities could be to hunt within Oakland County.
That's awesome. And that's always great that you guys are talking to each other and filling each other in on these great spots. And for those people who might be willing to travel just a little bit to one of these spots, what are some close by hunting spots that you would recommend?
Well, I think if you get up to some of the state land, if it's for public land up near Bald Mountain Recreation Area up in Lake Orion kind of area, or out near Kensington, Milford, that area, and whatever the state land that's available. I hunt further north, so I'm not a real into the best spots around Southeast Michigan, but pretty much any place you look on the DNR website where the state of Michigan DNR website, it'll tell you where hunting is permitted, and also there's links in there to where you can hunt private land, where some landowners give permission to hunters and they've got sign-in requirements and rules, but you can get access to some private land if the landowner permits it.
Okay. Lots of interesting spots. Glad to hear your thoughts on all of this, and great areas for local hunters to stop by. But there's also opportunities for people who might be willing to learn hunting. I mean, I've certainly never hunted before, and I want to know, what resources do you have with archers that can help teach beginners who are looking to start learning about a sport like hunting?
Well, we have offered, I'm not sure if we have any classes this year, but we offer State of Michigan Department of Natural Resources hunter safety courses that run through the club, which if you're born after, I think, around 1975, you need to have a hunter safety certificate to purchase a license in Michigan. And that gives you the basics on safety and ethics and those kinds of topics. And then just working with people, if they come to the club, you can get your practice in. And archery especially is something that requires a lot of practice to keep, so that you can put an ethical shot on an animal if you get the opportunity. And then we have different types of shooting. There's 3D shooting at the club, where you are hunting, or you're shooting at foam animals, which more simulate the experience out in the woods. And then there's just target shooting for getting yourself more practice and better prepared.
For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have the Secretary for Detroit Archers in West Bloomfield, Kevin Marshall, joining us today to talk about what to expect as hunting season continues to go on, where you can safely hunt around the area, and some tips if you're looking to learn the sport yourself. Now, hunting is also all about safety. If you're going to do it, you got to do it the right way. What are some important tips that you can relay to help keep hunters safe, especially if they're just starting out in the sport?
Well, you have to remember that this is, not to sound over dramatic, but it's a life and death situation. And especially with firearm hunting, you need to know, always assume that the gun you're holding is loaded, and know what's at and beyond, what you're shooting at and what's beyond, because if the bullets travel a long way with a lot of lethal force. When it comes to archery hunting, it's not, it's much shorter ranges, and you're not as likely to be able to reach out that far, but you still need to be safe if you're using an elevated stand where you're climbing up into a tree to hunt from above, which most archers do. You need to hoist your bow or your gun up separately and make sure it's unloaded and your arrows are in your quiver and secured, and so that you just don't have any accidents. Then, of course, always be tied off with a harness to within your tree. That's where most of the accidents that happen, I think, in the DNR reports, is from hunters falling from trees more than getting shot or any weapon injuries.
Okay, some very important things to watch out for as you may be going on some of these hunting trips over this weekend or as the season continues. And Kevin, I got one more question for you before we let you go. As
Certainly.
the winter months start to creep in, snow starts to fall on the ground, how is Detroit Archers starting that process of moving things inside for this season?
Well, we will. Our summer leagues have ended. They ended in early September, and we've done with all of our outdoor shoots. We're starting up in late and early December, and then through January and through the winter, we'll have all of our leagues and events indoors, where we have a 30-yard indoor range, and there's a number of different leagues that you can join to kind of practice more on a regular basis and those kind of things. They're all listed on the website, and most of them start up right after the first of the year.
All right, really great to hear about these resources to help these hunters still get their fix for the winter season. Kevin, I want to thank you so much for your time in joining us on The Splash today.
Thank you for having me.
Hunting season continues on, and lots of great resources available courtesy of Detroit Archers. A big thank you to Kevin Marshall for his time and explaining these resources, and another great thing to look forward to throughout this week. We've got a lot of other great, important things to get into right after this break, including learning about the work that the Rotary Club is doing to help the community. We'll get into that right after this. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host for the day, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. The Rotary Club of West Bloomfield's holiday charity efforts. The West Bloomfield Rotary Club is collaborating with other Rotary clubs, the ones of Troy, Birmingham, Lakes area, and Sterling Heights, and other community partners to deliver fully cooked Thanksgiving meals to families in need. And here to tell us more about this initiative, we have Scott Loney with the West Bloomfield Rotary Club and West Bloomfield School District's Executive Director of Educational Equity and Inclusion, Sonia James. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you both with us and really interested in hearing about this initiative. Scott, I want to start with you. How has the Team Turkey initiative grown or evolved since it began, and what's been the biggest driver of its success?
Well, first, our turkeys aren't burned like the one in your picture. Team Turkey actually started probably 10 years ago. We were not part of it for the first couple of years. The real motive force was the Troy Rotary Club, with whom we have very close relations. And in 2017 and 18, we started talking to them about our own Thanksgiving sharing effort, which basically was boxes of canned goods, turkey, frozen turkeys and so forth. And frankly, it was well-intentioned, but it wasn't very effective. And it didn't reach very many people. We're showing up several days before Thanksgiving with a frozen turkey and a bunch of canned goods. The families that we were serving sharing Thanksgiving with, in many cases, weren't able to cook the turkey. I mean, they didn't have an oven, or they didn't have the means or the facility to do that. And so we started talking to Troy Rotary Club in 2017, and signed on to Team Turkey in 2018 because we really liked the model. It's the driver of success is working together. There are 5 Rotary clubs that have been involved in this, so it's not just us. And one of the things I'm proudest of is that we've actually stepped out of what I call the Rotary bubble, and we've got other organizations working with us: the Royal Oak Youth Assistance, the Troy Fire Department, the West Bloomfield Police Department, West Bloomfield Township itself, and several other community organizations to sort of spread what we do among people basically in northern Oakland County. And we don't look at it as a charity effort. We don't look at it as something we're doing to help unfortunate people. We're sharing Thanksgiving with our neighbors. And the key relationship that we have in West Bloomfield is with the West Bloomfield School District. When we started, we were trying to think of what's the best way to identify qualified families in need of assistance over Thanksgiving. And it just so happened that the guy sitting to my left in the board meeting where we were discussing this was the superintendent of the West Bloomfield School District. And he suggested that we go to the schools and work with school counselors and social workers to identify families that whose children qualify for subsidized, meal programs.
Wow.
If you think about it, that in many cases is the only meal they get that's really nutritionally balanced. We all go home on Thanksgiving and it's 4 days of fun and football and too much food. They go home basically to a food desert. So it's a real need that we are filling with this program.
That's right. And it's great that you are fulfilling that need and fulfilling it for so many families. And Sonia, I want to turn it to you for a second. How do you see Team Turkey impacting families in need, especially with West Bloomfield's diverse community?
I think that, one, I just want to say I appreciate what Team Turkey does for West Bloomfield. The partnership and the collaboration that we have with the Rotary Club, it impacts so many of our families. I think we have over 70 families that we'll be able to help serve, give hot nutritional Thanksgiving meals to this year. And it is truly a blessing. It is truly a joint venture of love and care. And we talk about our neighbors and we talk about our students and our families. We are West Bloomfield. We are a community of givers. We are a community that wants to make sure that everyone in West Bloomfield has the same opportunity or same experiences as each other. So with this partnership, it just helps fill so many families' bucket and brings joy to the families in our school district. And I just want to say thank you to Scott and Myers and everyone who really works to put this together for our families. We are a diverse population, a diverse school district with varying needs. And to be able to fulfill this for a family and bring joy during the holiday season is really what it's all about.
That's absolutely right. And it's great to see all the work you guys do to help bring that joy to all these families. And Sonia, what lessons from your work in educational equity and inclusion inform your approach to programs like Team Turkey?
Well, as a member of the Rotary Club, I am too a Rotarian. It's going back to those principles and those principles of just that stewardship, that leadership, that partnership with your community. And it goes back to community. And when we think of community, we think of diversity. And we think of diversity, we think about equity and making sure that everyone has equal access and equal opportunity to everything. And it's not just about what we do every day in school. It's creating a well-rounded opportunities for our students. and having a well-rounded system of support for everyone. No matter where you are in the hierarchy, no matter what you are, where you are financially, where you are as a district, it's our responsibility or it's our charge to ensure that everyone has equal access. And access to food is huge, especially in this day and age, in this time. And what the Rotary Club is doing, as well as its partners, is it brings about that equity and it helps serves those that may be in need. And right now, I might be in need, and next year I may not. And so, for me, as a recipient of the dinners, that just says I am in a great community. I am in a place where people care. I am in a school district where they're going to make sure that we have everything that we need. From the time we walk through our doors until the time we return to go home and back again, whatever we are in need of, that's what we're trying to provide for our families. And it's through organizations like Rotary Club or Optimist Club or different organizations that are doing things to help provide for the students and families in our district. And it's all about that. It's about community. And we are one WB strong community. And
Absolutely.
it's everyone working together.
That's great.
You are absolutely right, Sonia. It is all about community. For those just joining us on The Splash, we have Scott Loney and Sonia James with the West Bloomfield Rotary Club talking about the Team Turkey initiative and benefiting people all throughout the community. I got a couple more questions for you before we let you go. Scott,
sure.
What makes this project meaningful to the Rotary Club? I think you touched on this a little bit, but what makes it meaningful to the Rotary Club, and how does it align with the organization's broader mission?
Well, the motto of Rotary clubs internationally, there are thousands of Rotary clubs and over 1 million members around the world, and our watchword is service above self. And if helping to feed your neighbors in a time of need, and just as Sonia said, might be me next year, you never know. I've delivered these turkeys to neighbors on my street, okay? Because I knew what their situation was. So it's service above self, and I think it speaks for itself. If I could sort of riff on some of the things that Sonia said, West Bloomfield School District is a district, schools of choice district. So I just want to make sure it's the West Bloomfield Rotary Club, the West Bloomfield School District that's teaming up on this. We're making deliveries in Pontiac and Waterford. I just found out I'm taking calls today for the delivery list where addresses have changed just in the few weeks since we reached out to families to share the Thanksgiving meal with them to get their phone number and their assent to receive it. Some of them have moved to, one of them has moved to Detroit. We're going to have to change our route to accommodate that. But the point is that we're not just serving West Bloomfield, but to the extent that we do serve West Bloomfield, I know a lot of people think that West Bloomfield is an affluent community. What could people in West Bloomfield possibly need, you know? And what I have found, I mean, this has taught me much by being involved in this. You go to people's homes, they're happy to meet you. It's not like they're like embarrassed by this. We actually have the police. We have the police delivering in their police cruisers. And I thought the first time we did this, oh my gosh, this is going to look great. Thanksgiving morning, the cops pull up, the neighbors are peeking out from the curtains in the front yard. They just love it. The police chief, and he's delivering for us again this year, gets out with a box of turkeys and so forth. And what you find out is that these are people who are aspiring to the American dream. They may not have much. They've moved out of communities where they're trying to get their children out of cycles of poverty, cycles of violence, and everything they've got is going into the rent or mortgage on a West Bloomfield home. So it looks like you're doing this in a very nice neighborhood, and in fact you are. But these are the kind of people we want to support. These are people who aspire to the American dream.
And that's great, everything that you're doing to support these people, Scott. And Sonia, last question before we wrap things up. what opportunities do you see for expanding Team Turkey or other initiatives to address food insecurity throughout the year?
That is a great question. And with regards to Team Turkey, we just keep taking names because I believe that this year we surpassed the list that we gave last year. But we also have within West Bloomfield, and it's Fueling Kids Futures, which was formerly known as Blessings in a Backpack. And that's a food program where students go home with food for the weekend. And Kathy Chico is the spearheaded this years ago, and far beyond her years of service within West Bloomfield, she is still committed to this. And as a part of United We Walk, I'm going to give a plug here. We will be hosting for our for Fueling Kids Future. We will be collecting food as a part of our United We Walk volunteer work for that day of service. So each of the buildings will be collecting different things, ramen noodles, oatmeal, and students will be able to provide some of those additional things that Fueling Kids Future will need. So that helps support them by us giving back. And on January 15th, which is Dr. Martin Luther King's actual birthday, we're going to do a district-wide donation day. So that we'll be asking every student, every family to just donate for Fueling Kids Future. Again, when I talk about community and when I talk about WB Strong, it is all of us coming together to make it work for every student that walks through our door.
That's right.
Because we care. Your zip code does not dictate what you receive in West Bloomfield. Once you are a West Bloomfield student, you are ours for life, no matter what your zip code is. It is you being a part of this community. It is you being a part of our district. And it is us making sure that we're doing the very best we can for each and every student in our district.
And I couldn't agree with that more, Sonia. I want to thank you and Scott so much for your time today in talking about this great initiative.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Jay.
All right.
Really happy and really, it's a really cool thing to hear about this initiative and everything that they're doing for the community. Really grateful for Scott and Sonia's time today and to hear about the Team Turkey initiative. Thanksgiving might be this week, but Christmas is coming up very, very soon, which means we're going to be seeing more and more holiday parties throughout the community, including the Not So White Elephant Party, which is going to be taking place on Tuesday, December 3rd, and it's going to benefit the community so much. And here to tell us more about this holiday party, we have the Executive Director of the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, Suzanne Levine, joining us on The Splash. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning to you.
Really happy to have you with us and really interested in hearing about this holiday party. How great is it that, because this is the 9th year that this party has been going on, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. 9 years ago, I decided that although we are a small nonprofit, that there should be a way that we can give back to the community. So for 9 years, we have been looking and scouting for smaller, independent nonprofits that could benefit from having a party in their favor. And so we're so excited. It's a great event. And the reason it's a not so white elephant, a white elephant party, usually you bring a wrapped gift and people can exchange them. This one, we bring a gift and we sell raffle items, and then people can pick a gift and all the money goes directly to the charity. So it's such a great way to celebrate the holiday season. And we're so fortunate that Aurora Italian Restaurant is sponsoring this also. They do a great job for us. So it's just a win-win for everybody during this holiday season when we really need to give back to the community.
Interesting. And you're absolutely right. It is always a great time to give back. I loved hearing about the rules of this because we play White Elephant at our Christmas party every single year. So it's interesting the way you guys are doing it. But how great is it that the holiday season and this party are coming around again for this year?
It's just such a great opportunity for not only to network and party with our chamber members in the community, but also give back to a very worthwhile charity, Sandcastles Grief Support, Henry Ford Sandcastles Grief and Support for families and children and families. And it's really, we know there are a lot of people during this holiday season that, it's a very difficult time for them because maybe they've lost someone they love. Maybe maybe their pocketbook is not as full as they want it to be. So it's just a great way to celebrate all of us, and we made it. And looking forward to 2025. And every year, it's another interesting charity that most people don't even know exists. We know about the larger ones, but these are smaller ones that people have no idea. And so it's a great way to introduce the community to different ways to give back, whether they volunteer or they give, through their wallet.
You're absolutely right. And it's great that you guys are doing all of this great work with these local charities. I do want to talk a little bit more about Henry Ford Sandcastles. How did that relationship come to be, and what has it been like to really help highlight and promote these other great charities?
Well, Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital is one of our biggest sponsors, and the grief support contacted me. They wanted to join the chamber. So they've been very active because we know that the best way for people to get to know your business, your organization, is to attend meetings. And so that's why networking is so important. I do not believe you will ever be able to replace that one-on-one connection. You can send out flyers and e-blasts. You can do all of that as an adjunct, but I really believe the most important thing is for people to get to know you, and you are the best, representative of your business, and let people know what you do and how worthwhile it is and how you can hopefully change a life. I mean, these are children that really need support, and the families. They've gone through some devastating loss. And we know that sometimes it takes a long time to even stop feeling this very acute pain. I know for me too, I've lost my parents. It's been a long time, but you never really get over it. It's just that the pain dulls a little bit. And so to have support of other people that have gone through similar situations and hear their stories and know that there is this great organization that supports, people that are grieving, it's, we all need someone to be able to lean on, to talk to listen, to validate our feelings. So that's why I'm so excited to partner with them this year.
Suzanne Levine with the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce is joining us on the Splash Live today to talk about the upcoming Not So White Elephant holiday party and the work that the Commerce is doing with local charities to benefit the community. And Suzanne, I want to go into a little more about the community side of things. How has the community come out to support this event? And what have you seen from the community during parties like these?
It is so amazing because the community, first of all, wants to network during this holiday season and connect. But what has been great, like, for example, last year we did the Gary Bernstein Health Clinic that most people are totally unaware of. It's a free health clinic where they offer free medical, dental, some pharmaceutical aid also. And what's great is if a person can't even drive there, they will make sure that they can pay for an Uber. So people didn't know about this organization, and we raised a lot of money for them. But for them, it was even more important to get the community invested, to know that maybe they're too embarrassed to say that they can't afford medical or dental health. Well, here's an organization that donates their services for free. They have U of M dental students that are on the premises, and they have doctors. It's such an amazing organization, and most of the community was unaware of it. So I think that's the most important thing, is letting the community be aware of these smaller organizations that might not have the resources to let everyone know what they're about and how they are there to serve the community. Of course, there's so many worthwhile charities. I mean, I could have probably an event every single day to benefit someone, but, I'm trying to pick ones that are lesser well known, to give them the exposure and hopefully get volunteers or much needed, money, because we know when the economy is not great, people tend to hold back because they're the ones that are in need. But even if people can only just give $1, I think that's an amazing thing. Just make sure that we support our charities and our nonprofits the best to our ability.
I'm so glad you mentioned volunteering, because I am curious, how can the community volunteer their time and their services to the Commerce and to an event like this?
Well, I think the best way is to, reach out to us and see, what organizations are in need. But also, if they just Google nonprofit organizations, and if there's something that speaks to them, maybe they have a family member that unfortunately has Alzheimer's or is suffering from cancer, or from, maybe they have these grief issues, reaching out to these organizations and saying, how can I help? Maybe it's just stuffing envelopes. Maybe it's actually going out into different businesses and handing out brochures and talking about the organization and what they need. So there's all different ways. Maybe there's a canister that they can put in a business, especially during this time. We know we have, the bell ringers at the Salvation Army, et cetera, at some of the, larger, like a Walmart, et cetera. But maybe there's just a canister they can put in, that people don't even know that this organization exists. So I think it's really important during this time. Everyone can give back in a way that is appropriate for them, but certainly, thinking about your fellow human, about your fellow neighbor, about people that might not be talking about the things that they need because they're too embarrassed. There are organizations out there that can help you.
That's great to hear, and that's great to hear of everything that you're doing to help these organizations. And I want to go back to the actual party itself, the Not So White Elephant party that's taking place on December 3rd. You did mention the actual white elephant, or not so white elephant, thing that's going to be taking place. What other events will be there, or what other opportunities will be there for the community at this event?
Well, it's a great opportunity because we'll talk about some of our upcoming events, like our installation of Board of Officers that's coming up in January at Connect. And I find it really interesting because there are people that have never connected before. And I always tell people, bring business cards. You can bring your brochures. You can hand them out. And, connect with one another, because this is, a convivial occasion. People are more relaxed. So it's not like a high pressure situation where you have to talk about your business, but it's a really wonderful, relaxed event where people know that they're coming together for a great charity and, want to do business. It's like a very relaxed atmosphere. And what's so fun is, we sell raffle tickets, and when we call their number, they can pick any wrapped gift. So it's always interesting to see the psychology of how people decide to pick what gift they want. And then all the money just goes right to that charity that evening. So, and they can also, I believe the charity will also have a way to make an online donation. So it's just a really fun, relaxed time to celebrate that we all survived this year, that we're all here to support one another, because that's what the Chamber is all about, supporting our community and support one another. And really, the more that you can connect with another business and maybe promote them, I'm sure there are ways that we haven't even thought of, that two businesses can come together to support one another that doesn't cost them any money. Maybe it's just having business cards, in their business. Maybe it's having a canister. Maybe it's just having an event at their establishment. So, we're looking forward to 2025 and trying to do more of these really fun events where people can network and hopefully get business, from one another.
Suzanne, great to hear about all these incredible projects, and really interested to hear what's going to be coming up in the brand new year. One more quick question before I let you go. Where can people go to get a little bit more information about what to expect with this event?
Well, they can either go to our website, westbloomfieldchamber.com. They can contact me at wbloomfieldchamber@gmail.com. And I'm always happy to answer questions, 248-626-3636. And the interesting thing is, I'm not really sure why, but I guess when people Google West Bloomfield, we come up, and I do answer questions that are totally unrelated to the Chamber. People ask me how to pay their taxes. I'd love to accept the money, but, so we're a great a source of information for people. If I don't have the answer, then I always try to direct them to a source that can. And thank you again for all that you do at Civic Center TV, covering these events. interviewing people to let the community know about all our great resources that we offer that unfortunately people are just unaware and they don't really know how to get the direction they need.
And a big thank you to you, Suzanne, for everything you do and for your time on the show today. But that's going to do it for us today with the Splash Live. Lots of great stuff we got into. I'm your host, Jake Schaff. Big thank you to Tyler Kieft and Kevin McIntosh over at Master Control for all their efforts. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.